Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel, Sussexes Squad. How you doing? I'm so glad you're here. I miss you guys. I guess I have to start this off with saying, a while back, it was a little weird for me with Sharon Osbourne coming out and defending Piers Morgan, and also sort of the way that a lot of people do, missing the point when a person of color was trying to explain to her why this issue with Meghan Markle was related to systemic racism, right? And she couldn't wrap her head around it, and she kept defending her friend. She kept defending Piers Morgan. You guys know how I feel about Piers Morgan already. And I just kept saying, wow, Sharon, you really, really aren't getting it. And sometimes, if you don't have that open spirit, that open mind to listen to someone when they're saying, hey, I'm hurt, and this is why you're hurting me. This is why this system is hurting me. And by you really not taking the time to try to understand it, you're perpetuating it, you know? And it seems like a lot of those people who don't really understand that, who don't know how to navigate this anti-racist thing, they really want a formula. They really just want a formula of the right thing to say. For example, back in and it's no fault against that. I completely understand that. For example, back in the late 90s, I feel like late 90s, mid 90s, late 90s, it was the thing for everybody to say, I don't see color. I don't see color. I don't see color. Color isn't a thing for me. You know, and that was like a formula that people could use, especially white people, but all people, everybody was saying that thing back in like the mid 90s or like late 90s, I remember. And that was okay then, because we just didn't have on a daily basis, you know, the rampant divisive stories that we hear every single day, every second of every day, that are so racially charged, racially motivated, like we do in 2023. So I think back then that was okay, but now we've seen so many injustices and we see them continue to happen that it's like, okay, we're gonna have to talk about race. We're gonna have to talk about race. Like, black and brown people are like, I need you to see me. I need you to see that this is a part of my whole anthology. You know, maybe at one point in history, we really didn't have to talk about that. And so there's no set formula, you know, to navigate these conversations for white people. By the way, if you want to have more insight on how to be an anti-racist as a white person, I recommend, like I've told everybody, to watch that video of Jon Stewart. He talks on a panel about white fragility and how to combat white fragility, you know. It's nice to hear from another white person, I think, honestly, to figure this all out. But I think Sharon is not a racist person, you know, and that's what she was saying. I'm not a racist person. But if she would have came from the place of saying, you know, clearly slavery was a thing. And the footprints of that are still alive today. Like, racism is as American as apple pie. I see that. I understand that it's interweaved into the institutions that we are part of every day. And I'm just a white woman. But I'm going to put my part in to help be an anti-racist in every way that I can. My friend Piers, I've always known him in private to be a very morally sound, good person. If that's what she believes, I don't know. But I'm just throwing that out there. There's a big difference from that, acknowledging that systemic racism exists and saying, I'm going to do my small part as an individual to help remedy that, versus saying, I'm not a racist, I'm not a racist, I'm not a racist, you know. And so when I watched that, I was really disappointed, because I've always really, really liked Sharon Osbourne, and I continue to like her to this day. I think she just sort of fudged it. And, you know, I don't really get the friendship between her and Piers Morgan. I think the way that Piers Morgan has come after Meghan Markle continuously is super duper problematic. And I remember looking at the Osbournes, you know, growing up. That with Keeping Up with the Kardashians was like the thing back then, as well as the Anna Nicole show. They all came from that same, you know, early pioneer era of reality TV, and I loved tuning in to watch them. And I especially loved watching Kelly, because for me, Kelly represented that millennial sort of emo spirit that grew up in the late 90s and early 2000s, of where everybody was like ultra perked up, you know, and it was just like, let me just drown you out with my alternative indie music, and like, ugh, you know, she just had that. Both her and her brother had that. And I loved watching that. I love watching the dichotomy of her parents, you know, even though her parents is freaking Ozzy Osbourne, man. He's rock and roll. But even watching their dynamic with them, you can see how they are the younger generation. They were more liberal, and their parents aren't even that conservative, you know? So I really love that. And I've always seen Kelly Osbourne as an individual. I've always thought, like, this is somebody who marches to the beat of their own drum, and I love that. But now that she's talking about the Sussexes, I feel like she's fallen in that same trap. And you guys can let me know, especially those of you who are actually British. I have a feeling like that there is this unspoken culture of like British people who travel in the same circles, the same sort of, you know, circles in society and echelons in society. They try not to throw each other under the bus, which I think that that's just general. That's not the UK, that's everywhere, right? But I feel like they try their very best to stick up for one another. I think that's what happened with Sharon Osbourne and her defending of Piers Morgan, and it now seems like Kelly is getting sucked up into it. There needs to be more public figures willing to speak up for the Sussexes, willing to say, hey, what they went through is crappy, and something in our society needs to change. Oprah's done it. Tyler Perry's done it. Andy Cohen's done it. Gayle King has done it, you know, and in more subtle ways, Adele has done it. Ed Sheeran has done it. More outspoken ways, Elton John has done it. Julie Andrews has done it. Lisa Vanderpump has done it. But apparently Kelly Osbourne felt like she needed to clown on the Sussexes. So anyway, this article is from Celebrity. We love Celebrity on this channel. It's from June 21st, 2023. And is entitled Kelly Osbourne Claims Prince Harry Whines About How His Life Is So Hard. So, Kaiser starts off by saying, years ago, I accidentally ended up watching a few minutes of The Talk, back when Sharon Osbourne was one of the hosts. I was aghast to hear Sharon talking openly about how Prince Harry never should have moved out of the UK, never should have married Meghan, and how his life is going to end in tragedy. What? Okay, so this is going back to Sharon Osbourne. Did Sharon Osbourne really say all of that stuff, guys? That is just atrocious. It goes on to say, and then last year, after Queen Elizabeth II's passing, Sharon basically said the same thing, that Harry needs to leave his wife and leave America and simply move back to the UK, or else. See, I just said all that sweet stuff, giving Sharon the benefit of the doubt, because I'm reading this in real time with you guys. She's been incited. She's been incited by this trashy UK tabloid culture. This is so sad. Anyway, like, how are you? This is real. You know, it's so insidious how systemic racism works. But Prince Harry's black American wife, this woman who he loves, who he's given up his titles, well, not his title, I'm sorry. He's given up his role in the monarchy because they just couldn't support it anymore. He's walked away from a life that he's known. He's had to cut out toxic family members, which was extremely painful, we know from him, from reading his spare memoir, for this woman that he loves so much, that his country and his family betrayed by gaslighting when she flagged systemic racism and when he joined her in flagging that. He loves her so much. He says it all the time. He explains it with every fiber of his being, how much he loves his wife and his family. And you have Sharon Osbourne here saying, you should leave your wife. You should leave your family. you should go back to the country that abused you. Anyway, so it says, so that's the kind of worldview of the Osbourne family. Would it shock you to learn that Kelly Osbourne is disgusted with Prince Harry, in particular because Harry whines? So apparently the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I'm so disappointed. This is like a dagger in my heart. You know how when you watch someone on TV growing up and somehow I guess you feel like you know them, and then you see later their true colors come out. This is like a dagger to my heart. It says, Kelly Osbourne has had it with Prince Harry in an explosive rant on Tuesday's episode of the I've Had It podcast. The former reality star accused the royal of whining, whinging, and complaining, calling him an effing tit, I think it is, or twat. I'm not completely sure. As the co-hosts Jennifer Welch and Angie Pumps Sullivan cracked up the Osbournes alum, 38, claimed, he's like, woe is me. I'm the only one who's had mental problems. My life was so hard. Now, I know that Kelly Osbourne has gone through mental health struggles. You would think that since she has gone through that, she would be compassionate for someone else who has. They're showing their true colors. Her quote goes on to say, everybody's life was hard, she continued. You were the prince of a G-damn country who dressed up as a effing Nazi, and now you're trying to come back as the Pope. Woo. You know what that reads to me like? It reads to me like people who grew up in racist households. And even though the younger generation really may try to go against the grain of what they saw their parents and their grandparents do, lightly throwing around the N-word, saying, explicit things about people of color, just generally being a bigot, the younger generation might really try to deny it, but sometimes it just kind of seeps in, and they are perpetuating the same thing before you know it. It sounds like to me Kelly has been listening a lot to what Sharon has been saying. And I guess Ozzy is also probably saying it behind closed doors as well. Osbourne concluded by telling the 38-year-old Duke of Sussex to suck it. That's really different from what I've heard Russell Brand say. Oh, Russell Brand is another one of those celebrities I can add to the list of thank goodness that they have a spine enough to speak up for the Sussexes. The same thing for LBC in general. Thank goodness for those people who show a spine enough to speak up for people who flagged systemic racism, systemic prejudice, sexism, and who faced numerous threats to their safety because of the hate that was incited in the country that was supposed to be their home. Thank goodness that there's people to speak up about it. So the article goes on to say Instagram users express mixed feelings over the Project Runway Junior judge's comments. In quotation marks, it says, gotta love it when Nepo babies with no actual talents or skills have so much to say about the lives of others. Ouch, one wrote. While another labeled Osbourne as being on the wrong side of history. And she is. It's very, very sad to see people continuously mark themselves on the wrong side of history. And it's also very damning because we live in this day and age where there's such a footprint of everything because of the internet. So history also won't forget that they did this stuff. So Kaiser concludes by saying, now you're trying to come back as the Pope? Pardon? What is this about? It feels like it's about Harry waging war with the British media and trying to use his name, money, and time to hold some of Kelly's dear friends accountable for their criminal behavior. As for Harry's whining, look, either you think Harry has every right to speak about his past, or you don't. Either you think Harry has the right to tell his story, or you don't. It's actually hilarious that Kelly Osbourne, of all effing people, is claiming on her podcast that Harry talks too much. Sounds like another instance of someone using Harry's name to drive up publicity for their own channels and doing it with hate. It's super duper sickening. It's sickening that this is the world that we live in. So, down in the comments below, of course, you always had to look out for squaddies. You know, you guys literally make my day every day. So someone says, Kelly, of all people, needs to shut her mouth. She is irrelevant, and I have no idea why Ozzy, as her dad, gives her, oh no, I lost it, gives her this much shelf life. She is way past her due date of expiration. Dang. Someone said, we'll never get over her saying that while sitting across from Rosie Perez. Love Rosie, and she shouldn't have had to sit anywhere near that BS. No one should. She was with Rosie Perez. Yeah, that's super duper weird that she would say that in front of a woman of color. Somebody says, coming from the girl whose mother is besties with Piers Morgan. Yeah, this is rich. Girl, bye. That's it right there. But, guys, we'll leave it there. I would love to know what you think. Let me know in the comments. If you're new to this channel, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button. Hit the bell so you know whenever I post a video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.